If you would please bow your head for a moment of silence. We certainly have enough going wrong in our country right now. Thank you, Madam Pro Tem.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Item 4, agenda adoption. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Chair will entertain a motion to adopt. All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 5, proclamation for the Childhood Cancer Awareness Month that I have signed. So November 1st, our least able people to help themselves or their children, and when cancer hits, if someone comes and asks, can you donate, please donate. Most of the time, they cannot advocate for themselves, so let's do it for them. Thank you. Consent agenda. All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 7, swearing in chief of police and new officers. Zach?
So we will be swearing in Randall Hodges as chief. We will allow him to introduce one of his officers. He will be sworn in as chief underneath the current scenario until we go for the official swearing in as chief later on through the process. So Susan, do you want to handle this?
Form number 7.
Say your name.
I, Randall Reed Hodge,
You solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will be alert and vigilant
that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina,
to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina,
that I will not be influenced in any matter of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will not be influenced in any matter of a personal bias or prejudice,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and the laws of North Carolina not inconsistent therewith,
and the Constitution and the laws of North Carolina not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and execute the duties of the office of Acting Chief of Police,
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and execute the duties of my office as the acting chief
according to the best of my skills, abilities, judgments, so help me God.
according to the best of my skills, ability, judgments, so help me God.
It's been a long time since he and I passed the halls of Cook County High School where I thought he was a student. I don't know that I've been successful, but he has. Congratulations.
Thank you. Real quick, I just want to thank the town council, town manager for instilling the trust and confidence in me. I'll do the best I can and hopefully continue a pattern of law enforcement in the town that suits the town, suits the people of Tryon, that's that's friendly and community oriented. Thank you all.
Do you want to introduce your?
This time we got a new officer we just hired, Stephen Holland. He comes to us about 5 years experience out of Rutherford County. He's been with us now a couple of weeks. We're gonna do his formal swearing in tonight and badge pinning right after that. So if you want to step forth, the Madam Clerk will.
Repeat after me. I, say your name,
I, Stephen Holland,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina,
that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina,
that I will not be influenced in any matter of a personal bias or prejudice,
that I will not be influenced in any matter of a personal bias or prejudice,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith.
and the Constitution and the laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith,
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and execute the duties of my office
and execute the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills, abilities, judgments, and help me God.
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills, abilities, and judgments, so help me God.
Thanks, Chief. Congratulations. If y'all can go.
Would you like to get a picture real quick up here?
Yeah, sure.
My whole family? You mind again? Let mom in, we got one more.
Come on.
Thank you. Stephen, we're happy to have you on board. Thanks, sir. We look forward to it. Wish you best of luck with everything. Stay safe. Randall, we're happy to have you as well. Thank you for everything already. Thank you for everything. Thanks, sir.
We have
Congratulations.
12 more items, and tonight, okay. Item 8, we'll elect the chairman of the TPA.
Michelle Newman would like to be reelected as chairman of the TVPA. Have it in your packet.
Moved, all in favor, aye. All opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Going fast.
Item 9,
Glenn Sessoms has asked to be reappointed for a 3-year term to the ABC Board.
question, so moved, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All likewise, motion carries. Item 10,
Shrine,
CPP.
Shrine's been included in the comprehensive transportation plan for the Foothills region, part of the long-term plan effort. According to state statutes, colleagues at NCDOT are here to present CTP.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Ellis, for that nice introduction. So my name's Alan Tony. I'm the transportation planner for the Foothills Rural Planning Organization, kind of coming in at the tail end of comprehensive transportation plan. I do want to just say thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your consideration and introduce Mr. Andy Bailey from NCDOT to give you a short presentation on what this plan entails and why it's important to the town. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for having me tonight. I believe it was included in the packet, there was a presentation for this. If you need to make a copy, I did bring some as well, so please let me know. So I'm going to quickly go over what a comprehensive transportation plan is, the history about this, some major recommendations and considerations to adopt from the board. Again, what is the CTP? It's a comprehensive transportation plan, a long-range multimodal transportation plan that plans transportation needs 25 to 30 years in the future. It's developed cooperatively among local stakeholders, the rural planning organizations, and NCDOT, and incorporates your local land use plans, your local community visions, and statewide, and also statewide goals. It is, Mr. Ellis pointed out, it's a state statute about developing a transportation plan for every area not located within the metropolitan area. This is an area of that statute. It's based upon the best information available. It's an effective, safe use of our transportation system, and it considers all modes of travel. It's also a needs-based plan. So every one of these things is not just simply a line on the map. There is some data behind it, as well as some local input about what people think they need in the community. So this is not just simply a pie in the sky. There is data behind this. Where does this fit in the big picture? The planning, we're at the beginning. We are finding out the needs of all transportation needs in Tryon, Polk County, and the Foothills region. It then goes to a prioritization process. This goes also between the Foothills Rural Plan Organization and the ECDC Division 14. And I've got Troy Wilson here with me with Division 14. They score these projects and then they get ranked. And eventually, if they rank high enough and have enough local support, they get programmed into our statewide transportation improvement programs. And then we go through project planning, which minimizes human and environmental impacts, design, right of way, and construction and maintenance of the facility. So the quick overview of what we've been doing over the past 3 years, because usually this takes 2 years, but because of COVID and because this is a 3-county region, it took a little longer. We started in late 2019 developing community vision. We had a survey going out to all addresses in Polk County. We were very proud of that. And we also selected the roads to study. We analyzed the system, both from a traffic standpoint as well as a multimodal standpoint and the future demands that may be on the system. We evaluated any alternatives that may be out there to help the system. We agreed upon a plan as a steering committee in early this year, and we're out to the local towns, counties, and the rural plan organizations as a whole to adopt this plan. Once that's done, this gets presented to the Board of Transportation, and the North Carolina Board of Transportation mutually adopts this plan as the planning vision for this region. Included in this steering committee was Tim Daniels, your town planner, as well as various other stakeholders in municipalities and counties in the region. So really quickly, just a high level, the highway facility types in Tryon. Really there's only major and minor thoroughfares. That is signed routes and unsigned routes. Nothing dramatic, no big expressways, no multi-lane roads. And if you look at the highway recommendations, you'll see that really there's no change to that. The only things that are really in the town of Tryon, there's a few local streets that could potentially use some shoulders as a safety feature. But again, based upon your desire and what you communicate with the Foothills RPO, only then will those be evaluated for potential construction. One of the things I will point out that is actually outside the town of Tryon, but probably is pretty important, is Harmon Field and Howard Gap Road, that K intersections use something about the intersection. Now, in this plan, we don't propose exactly what it's going to look like, what improvements that is, but that is a very dangerous intersection with the K factor of those two roads coming in there. And so the idea is to have some kind of improvement down there and further study on that. Bicycle pedestrian really follows your Troy and Columbus bicycle pedestrian plan that was completed in 2020. Most all of what you see in there in the town of Tryon itself is of that plan. The only thing that's really added is actually in the rural section between Tryon and the Harmon Field, which is to get the bicycles and pedestrians from town to Harmon Field in a safe and effective manner, not blocking highway traffic. All these are listed in all these recommendations are listed in your package. All we have to go over is each one of those. If you have any questions, please let me know. But what we're asking from NCDOT, the Transportation Planning Division, is for the adoption of the CTP in the town of Tryon and for the endorsement of the CTP for both towns and the region. Questions?
Any questions on the board?
Okay.
Motion. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed likewise, motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you for presence.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Mr. Allen. Mr. Mayor.
Bounce if you need to. Thank you for coming.
President Gilbert.
You on number 11, Mayor? Do we have a representative from Oklahoma Condos?
Yes, we do.
Please, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Bill Mitchell. I'm a resident. I'm a resident at Oak Hall Condominiums, and I'm also on the board of the homeowners association. Jerry Sourpuss is with us tonight, not in this role, but he's also a resident there, as you know. OCAL recognizes that on our property across the road from Side Street Pizza is becoming severely overgrown with kudzu, tree of heaven, and it certainly doesn't help the appearance of the entrance to Triumph. And we would like to do something about that. So I'm not here tonight to specifically ask you to do something. I want to make you aware of what we are trying to do, and we will probably at some point need to come to you for some help. But Greg Miner is here, John Vinings is here, I've talked to both of them, and they both agreed to be involved in this effort. And we think it will probably be a 3-year effort. What we want to do, it's my understanding before, I've only been in Triumph for about 3 years. But I understand several years ago, the area that I'm talking about was cleaned out. What we want to do this time is to do it different. We want not just to cut it down, but we want to treat it with herbicide so it can be better. Applying with the Appearance Commission for doing that through Craig, and he believes that we will probably get that done. And again, we will be using Craig and John to help give us direction on this. Y'all are probably aware that most of the residents of Oklahoma tend to be of the older category, of myself included. So there are going to be some limitations as to what we can do physically. Okay? But we are prepared to spend some funds on this. But all homeowners associations are afflicted with not having enough money. And that's just a natural part of the HOA. We're committed to this, and we think it's a 3-year project. We do know that we will need the city or someone to help us with traffic control. When we get on that slope on line 176, that's going to be dangerous. And so we don't know how to control that traffic. We would probably come to the city. You guys may go to the state, we don't know. But I think our step would be to come to you guys to at least help us and give us some direction in that regard. We don't know at this point whether we will be having all the debris hauled off or whether we will be chipping part of it. We have someone who says that they have a chipper that we can use if we can get it down in there and then get it out, okay? So, but there will be some debris that will need to be hauled off, and we would ask for your assistance in that regard. I'd like to ask Greg and John for any comments that you might want to make in regards to this effort.
So OCAL is a nonprofit entity, so they can apply for appearance grant. So they can apply for as much, I'd say anywhere up to $1,500. It's not going to cost the town at all, other than the fact that we need some help controlling traffic and I guess take away the debris. So the main cost is going to be borne by the county because it's a grant provided by the commissioners. And then OCAL will pay in $500. My guess is with the in-kind labor, this thing is going to go pretty easily. And again, the long-range plan is to hit it with an herbicide, killing these tree stumps. And these tree of heaven is not that big. And this is a great time to get it before it gets much larger. So this is the time we really want to do it. We'll do it in the winter time when traffic is less and there's less vegetation around as well. So, but it'll really clean up the entrance on Landwood into the town of Triumph, making it much more appealing. We will get some kudzu vines up there as well. That's probably the worst aspect of this is some of those kudzu vines are tied into the tree of heaven fairly up high. So it's going to be a little bit difficult pulling down, but again, the tree of heaven is not so large that I think we can do it all safely. Again, the main efforts we need from you is traffic control and hauling off debris.
Okay? Yes, sir.
I was actually a part of the last cleanup committee, and I agree with you. It will make a substantial difference on the entrance, the appearance of the entrance. Well, what is the gateway into Tryon? Zach, is there any way that we can put them on the list for kudzu control through the Forest Service?
We can contact the Forest Service for sure. They do, sprays yearly. We can get on the list. So I'll talk with Brian about it.
I think one of the things that we want to do, really as residents of Oak Hall, we would prefer not to be confronted with this every year. Now, we recognize that probably annually, there's going to have to be some inspection. We would do an inspection annually and do some control. But we really, what's cut, we want to treat. And, you know, if you cut it and you don't treat it, it's going to come back. That's why we're looking at what we are now. And so if it's going to take 2 or 3 years for this project to do it right and to reduce the amount of effort that Oak Hall is going to be confronted with, you know, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying we want to do it in a manner of which it's going to inhibit the regrowth.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay,
Great.
thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We, 12, 13, and 14, public hearings, and I have one, or I have to open and close each one.
Since they're being presented as separate text amendments rather than all in one document, yeah, let's do each one.
Item 12, public hearing, text amendment, section SR 28, mixed uses in the CB district.
So, you want me to do this one or?
I can handle it. So we've had some, people ask about, having basement apartments in mixed use, and mixed use is only allowed in central business district. The, previous, ordinance was pretty specific as to where those entrances could be. It was on Depot and, Packwood, I believe. So we're just trying to get rid of that because there might be a couple extra opportunities for some basement apartments downtown. And it jives with the comprehensive plan about just getting more residential things downtown. So it doesn't have a great impact on, because there aren't that many locations, but there is like that alleyway behind like the movie theater and Clover and that kind of thing. There could be some opportunities there, as well as around town. So I brought it in front of my board and they unanimously approved it.
Okay, thank you. Public comment?
Just
Yes,
clarification,
sir.
what you just want to do is take the street names out, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
But so, yeah, they will not be available, they still will not be visible from Trade Street or yeah.
But it's not specific to Packwood and Depot, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm not Packwood, Palmer, my bad.
Okay. Other comments? Okay, I'll close that hearing. Motion to adopt.
The motion should be to adopt this ordinance that includes those changes he just described.
So SR 28.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor, aye. Close likewise, motion carries. Item 13, public hearing. Open the public hearing for text amendment to allow metal awnings for businesses.
Another public interest, I've had a couple, potential shop owners come to me about allowing for metal awnings on store facades. Currently, our ordinance only allows for vinyl. We do not allow for plastic or anything. And just to update the ordinances with more
more options, metal, there are metal awnings that can be pleasant to look at on storefronts and stuff. We also included no corrugated metal, just as a little limitation on it. Except grandfather, correct. And again, I brought it
As
to,
far as you understand, this does not affect our ability to have historical business declared historical?
it should not, no.
I didn't think that, just wanted to hear that said.
Yeah, I took it to the Historical Preservation Commission, and they were fine.
And again, my board unanimously approved them, recommend it.
Public comment? John?
Does this include a flat metal?
Yeah, it's just the makeup of the awning, so they'd have to submit the design for the permit, but, it could be flat, it could be, yeah, it could be angled, that kind of thing.
So how did that subject come up?
Some potential shop owners inquired about it, and they,
If you look at what Huckleberry's has, it's a nice looking on. And shops dry on.
Yeah.
So there are numerous examples in our very short
Yeah.
Main Street.
Well, a lot of these here have come up because I've asked him to start knocking at the door of some of these ordinances that we keep.
And before they can put up an awning, they still have to come before.
Yeah.
And have it approved.
yes, it still has to meet height requirements and that kind of stuff, big yes.
So do y'all approve the design then, is what I'm asking, Bill's question?
We have limit, I mean, we really don't have design standards on awnings other than, like I said, heights and widths and how far they protrude into the right of way. As far as what they look like,
The Historic Preservation Commission has started, and they will be getting into that eventually.
Well, in '60s, several of the old claw awnings were in front with these aluminum flat awnings, and from an aesthetic standpoint, from a business standpoint, it's great, it lasted 50 years. But from a aesthetic standpoint, they weren't terribly attractive.
Well, it does make sense for the abilities they had back then. Today's world, Dean Tracus mentioned to us, the metal awnings coming out now are more aesthetically pleasing. So they're not throwing up corrugated metal anymore. It's like you see at shops at Shrine.
Okay. Close the public hearing, motion to adopt, and all in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Public hearing open, item 14, section with parking space requirement for short-term rental.
so in our ordinances, the chart for minimum parking and maximum parking, short-term rentals, we don't have a whole lot on the books about short-term rentals. Again, this is along the lines of the allowing for basement apartments downtown with the mixed use that we just discussed. So above this in the table, there's bed and breakfasts they only need one parking space per unit. So just thought it was, wanted to add them in as just to say that an Airbnb or short-term rental would just need one parking space, because if it's just somebody renting out a room or something, it could just be a couple in one car, not renting out an entire, or they could rent out a house, but this just makes it so it's not so restrictive on, because a regular dwelling requires 2 parking spaces, like a house, full house. But again, if you're just renting out one room or something for somebody to just crash or rent, we thought it might just be beneficial to allow for just one space.
You're saying that you don't have to have 2 spaces.
Right, if it's a short-term rental, you just need one. If it is a permanent, long-term, or otherwise, then you do need 2.
Okay, now,
John?
Can you define short term, is it 2 weeks or less, or what's the town definition?
I mean, short term for us, I don't know what we have in the actual definition, but typically it's actually like 6 months or less. But we're going after Airbnb stuff, so your typical weekend stay. But I do see some inquisitive looks, but typically short term rentals like 6 months or less.
I think somewhere in the general statutes, I remember see in 14 days as the limit time to decide something, but I
I may have adjusted it.
Yeah, 6 months seems a little long for sure.
Well, there was a big thing about it because some people rent summers.
Right.
And when I was in Blowing Rock, we had to go through it, and at the time it was around 6 months for short term, but it might be 14 now.
14 is for, you gotta report it to the tax office too, and for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. No other questions?
Well, it seems to me though, that if we're not saying they have to have two, so I mean, I think it makes sense, you know, but 6 months I think is too long.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can double check. I don't know if our ordinances cover what short term says,
They do not.
so that's another thing we'll bring back. I mean, the ordinances we have aren't really built, but we can set it up for 14. But, I mean, basically, it's, if, for instance, you have a house, you're gonna have a driveway, right, for the most part. But if you have a house that you live in and you Airbnb one room, we're trying to guarantee at least one parking space there for that room.
or two, if it's 2 rooms.
One per room.
Any question? Bill,
Yeah,
satisfactory?
so it's a short term, it's still in there though, right? And it's still, do we need to pass this tonight? Or do we need to refine that, what short term is?
This is just to add a line item to the parking chart that's in the ordinance.
Yeah.
That has all the different uses and how much parking is required for each. And this was missing from our ordinance, right? There was nothing in there about Airbnb.
No, there was not. We don't have much about Airbnb and short-term rentals. We are in the process of getting some information together to address those because of such a high demand for them, so.
My question to you, you want to see it again next month with your answers?
Well,
I was trying to look it up, real estate wise, but I can't.
yeah, but I think we'll work it out. I'm not, you know, I don't think we'll. I don't know whether I need to say it again in a month. I mean, I think I could.
Yeah, this is just the parking, but we can bring back short term next month.
Okay. All right. Any other public hearing? Close the public hearing, hear a motion? Okay, we have a motion, all in favor, aye, to pass the text amendment for parking space requirements. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 15, minimum housing.
So 136 Cleveland, the hearing was done, the 45 days, I believe it's just at the end, if it hasn't passed already. I'm waiting on estimates from SVR and 2 other demolition contractors. As soon as I get those compiled, we'll move forward with that. 144 Cleveland, I'm trying to get an inspection for next week with the person. And once we do that, that will start that in motion as well. But when they do the 136 estimates, I'm gonna ask them to do 144 while they're there, just, and see if we can do a 2-car kind of thing and have the fire department burn them down ahead of time before demolition. It's just a couple spinning plates going on right now, but we're moving on.
Both of them are slated
Yes.
for burning.
If we can get a burn and get the asbestos check and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
if we're allowed to burn, we'll burn, but if not, we'll just tear.
Yeah, and aren't there on Cleveland, there's 3 houses right there together, right?
Right.
So one of them is okay to stay, for this one up.
We are looking at that one too. The owner of the one in the middle owns that one as well, and we've been discussing with him the situation. If we need to get in there and do an inspection of that third one too. Somebody is currently living in that right now. But we have told him that, yeah, we're debating getting in there and inspecting that one as well. But he has been working on it for, the last couple of months. I know there is some stuff out in front and stuff, and we've had them clean it up a couple of times, and they've brought more stuff out there. But
They've started parking the road too.
oh, they have, okay. All right, well, I can tell Randall about that.
I mean, like physically, just parking the road.
Just leaving the car right in there.
Yeah, like, okay, whatever.
Okay. Noted.
Item 16, TDA updates.
I don't have any update. You've seen, what we discussed tonight, and then we'll work on hiring committee. I'll be in touch this week about that. So thank you for agreeing to volunteer if you can.
Do you want to bring up?
Oh, and, dog mayor stuff. Dog mayor is happening this month. Tim has built the website, tryingdogmayor.com.
You can go on there and vote.
You can go on there and vote. You can vote with your credit card online. How many applicants we
We
have?
got 23.
23. We're putting-
Any chickens, any cats?
There's one cat.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to put ducks in, but I was like, you have to show up for the job this time.
So what we're doing is we're taking also another component to this is we're bringing 5 dogs from the Humane Society. We're stashing them in different businesses around town. We're gonna ask everyone to go visit the dogs. We're working to build a basket, hopefully, to go to owners who decide to adopt a dog that night. It's even, Gary Bass has volunteered to take, family photos with the new animal if you adopt them. So the value of these baskets are gonna be really high. We're gonna try to get them adopted, we're gonna try to make money, we're gonna split the money with the Humane Society. And basically, it's gonna be the same as last year.
So we need to ask if we gotta shut down in town.
We were thinking about shutting down the town for this. Because with 23 dogs, they all show up.
McAllen Street was created as an event space.
And give each dog a space.
So when is this?
Next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, not this coming, but
Yeah.
the end of the month.
Why don't you just vote to shut it down, and if we don't need it, we don't have to.
That'll work.
All in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Are we ready for 17, Zach?
Yeah, sure. The only thing I really, need to address is, Huckleberry's is asking to do an event over the Labor Day weekend. They would like to do a large tent, in front like they've done previously. Those photos are on the mayor's desk to show what it was. They are planning to have, 3 concerts Friday, 4 concerts Saturday, and 2 concerts Sunday. They're just a short, 1 hour different events. 3 concerts, they want the tent, in case of rain.
For our conversation earlier today, you're absolutely certain it's a free concert.
I have not clarified that, but I'm positive I will get clarification. You can vote pending free concert, and I will act accordingly.
The only other concern that I would have is if Peter has scheduled an additional summer track concert.
I called Peter, Peter said no. No.
I'm good.
Okay.
Motion to vote to approve or deny.
Motion. All in favor, aye?
Skills you, but he does.
All in favor, aye? All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Is that right?
Next item up, International Film Festival would like to shut down McCown Street, from Thursday night to Monday night for the film festival. They are planning this year to have McCown Street as the hub of the festival, since the main stuff will be shown in the movie theater downstairs. They would like to do a couple of different things, so they would like your permission if they get their alcohol permit to serve alcohol on McCown Street. They also would like permission, I need to talk with Randall, but to possibly extend, noise ordinance hours. I don't see it being a problem, but, well, I need to look, but I think ours goes to what, do you know, Randall, off the top of your head, what was 11? I don't think they'll have any issues after that anyway, but, so I think we'd be safe to just tell them 11 is a good time.
And I will repeat, McAllen Street was created principally as an event space.
This is true.
They need the holes.
street? I mean, because it is gonna eat up a lot of
It is,
parking for the,
it is gonna eat up parking, but if we shut it down, there's really no way to allow parking.
parking in it, yeah. I say let them have it, yeah.
Sure, that's a big thing for the town.
Sure.
Can I get a vote?
So moved.
So, no.
All in favor, aye. Those likewise, motion carries.
The last motion I will need is gonna basically be, the rock work on Chestnut. I do need to just double check some things, but basically, it's hard to find a mason. The mason that has responded will basically do the work, but it's $7,500. I just want approval from everyone to go forward or not go forward. It's up to you guys. I'm Switzerland. I just wanna know what to do.
Is that the damage that was caused on Super Saturday?
Some of it was Super Saturday, yeah. Majority of it. So I can't say 100% because I didn't see it the day before Super Saturday, but it was definitely Super Saturday.
And I have a hard time, I really don't, I'd love to take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just for something I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about.
Okay, well, when you go up
Yeah,
there,
I go down Chestnut Street a good bit, probably once a day.
check it out. It's from the driveway of Miss McNutt down toward a portion that was repaired a little more recently.
Okay. Can we put that off for a month?
Here's my
Yeah, I
next
mean-
question, when were you gonna contract with him, if available?
Well, I've got a contract already, but it's not executed, obviously.
I asked who the rock worker is.
Dean Helms Stone Masonry out of Zirconia, I believe. But I'll be glad to table it. I don't know if they will, but
All right, good.
we can just go back again. I'm not saying that to put any pressure on, I'm just saying, if we go back again, it might take a little while to get someone else interested. So,
William, can we approve tonight predicated on the council going by and visit and giving him a yea or a nay?
Contracts have to be approved unless you have something set up that offers that by the board. And I don't know if you guys would consider a special meeting, but that would be the cleanest and best way.
Well, I asked
rather
the
than-
question, I thought if they went and looked, we could call a special meeting, 5 minutes and be done,
Yeah, and vote at that.
rather than getting broke out.
Or just leave this one open for 24 hours.
Well, you could, if you have a day in mind by which everyone will have viewed it and become comfortable or not with it, then you could, they could adjourn this meeting but it only takes 48 hours notice to have a special meeting, so.
But can it wait until the next meeting? It's not like it's going anywhere, right?
Oh, but if they renegotiate the contract, maybe.
We all passed it every day.
I mean,
That's the reason, that's the reason I want to look at it, because I haven't paid any attention to it.
Yeah.
If it's really, really bad, I seem like I would have known.
it's not really bad.
And so it's something that can wait till the next meeting.
I mean, it can always wait. You know, I don't think the price will go up. I think the time.
The word is calculated.
So, and I'm not worried about it. It'll make it through the winter, I believe. And if it doesn't, I mean, it's,
Okay.
you know, so if
You
you
want
want
to
to
the
just.
table? Okay, we're the table.
And the only thing I really have is, I do want to thank Jody. Jody's been in and out with a bunch of things going on, but he's done a lot. And, him and the guys have worked really hard. So I do want to thank them. Walton and his crews are doing well. Thank Tim and, you know, big thanks to Randall. We're excited for Randall coming on board as the chief and the leadership he can bring. And I'm just, in the sake of brevity, just saying thank you. That's all I have.
Board tonight, BOC, Bill Ingram, Chris, Sherelle, and me.
All right, well, Randall, welcome. I'm glad you decided to
then she come to work here and then stay here and then become our new chief. You and Jeff had a type of law enforcement that is needed in a small town. I personally appreciate it. I'd like to thank the rest of the staff. And Harmon Field, I'm trying to get you some asphalt for your driveway there by the school. Trying to. And all the other guys appreciate everything you do. And Jody, do you ever get your pipeline stuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saturday around 10:30.
Yeah. The whole system kind of collapsed in front of White Oak. They found a mop inside the sewer line. That's been around the sewer line, a whole rag mop. We still can't figure out how they got it in there. But anyway, thank you.
Well, just like to echo Bill's sentiments, covered most of it, and thank the public for being here. And you look out and see these volunteers that you see out there working and doing stuff all the time. It's very much appreciated. We may not get that across all the time, but it is appreciated. And Randall, congratulations, buddy. I think you're the man for the job.
Thank you, I hope so.
Right. And that's it.
Chris?
Welcome. And, thank the audience for coming out tonight. Our work is meaningless without your input. And I'd like to thank the staff and management of the town of Tryon. That's it.
Okay, sure.
Welcome, Randall. I'm going to start calling you chief. And to the new officer, thank you, staff, thank the audience, Susan, William, and Zach, thank you all. I just came from a national convention, and they were talking about crime. And I mentioned that crime, just off the top of my head, I said Tryon had 0 crime, or at best minimum. And it became a big joke, but I guarantee you that everybody this was one in Atlanta, I guarantee you everybody remembers Tryon. And I would like to keep it as is, pretty much it, minimum. No pressure. No pressure.
No worries, Randall.
But, yeah, thanks everybody. And thank you guys.
Thank you for all your traveling.
Yeah, everybody.
Representing us. Okay.
I do have one question. My eye tells me that we have lost a double row of chairs here. Where did those chairs go?
I will find out. I will find out.
There's a staff back here. There's a staff back here.
You know, the first time I asked those questions.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were full earlier.
Hey, Chris, they're right there.
Thank you, sir. I know them, but
You trying to get the point.
I do. I'm an asshole.
Okay. Staff, thank you. Citizens, thank you. I would say it 1,000th time. Best place I ever lived. If you're smart, it's the best place you've ever lived. Citizens' comments, response, if you'd like to speak, please identify yourself.
2,
Name, please, for record.
Ken Dahlstrom. 2 questions, probably more geared towards Zach than anything else. One, I was hoping NCDOT would stick out the rest of the meeting to this portion. When they're talking about the appearance across from Side Street, when they resurfaced the road, that road was beautiful. And those same damn imperfections have bubbled to the top and they're still there. And now they're getting worse and the road is crumbling and everything else. Again, it's an appearance issue about, whatever's under there. I'm assuming sewer pipelines are collapsing or the sand around them. The question is that I have, NCDOT did that. Is there any type of warranty or guarantee period that they can come back and fix that thing?
No, so, I mean, it's not kind of like that. I mean, the issue we have is a subgrade issue. So when it starts to like crocodile like that and then create those potholes, what happened was an engineer didn't do the subgrading from what I've heard. So, or at least the measurements correctly, and they just laid on top of the old concrete road bed that goes all the way to asphalt. We put in every week, our dispatch puts in a complaint on behalf of the citizens, to the DOT office and ask for them to fill in that pothole and all of the other potholes. So we do that weekly. At this rate, we may just ask for permission to patch them ourselves.
But it'll just bubble back up again, will it not? I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm asking.
So it would be a more temporary fix. If we were to asphalt over it, it would, eventually it'll bubble less because the subgrade will be compacted so much, but it's something that we should not have to have dealt with.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. The road was beautiful, but here we are. So.
Yeah, that was just an inquiry.
Yeah, they came up in the exact same locations.
Yeah, and they almost look the same.
Yeah.
And the other part,
was a sewer line.
and the other question I have, and again, there's no answer for this at this point. You were talking a lot of infrastructure issues and so on and so forth. Does Tryon have any type of plan or thought process, either beginning or in the works, of some of the roads, our neighborhood roads, for resurfacing those or fixing those? Because some of them are really rough and some of them will take out a tire.
So on a number of fronts, the board of commissioners tasked staff a couple years back to start a capital improvement plan for water and sewer infrastructure, about 15 million. We're working through that now. As far as the streets go, we do have a plan. We've paved more roads in the past 5 years than they did the previous 20.
Okay.
Yeah, so we made a lot of headway, but that doesn't mean things are great.
No, but I mean, making headway, that's
So what
important.
we are making this year, we're looking at doing Vista Terrace, which is off the New Market. It's in pretty rough shape, but generally the way we started was Jody and his crews drove around. We checked out every road in town. They prioritized from worst to best. We worked through that 10, 15 road list, and now we've started over again. So we've got another list. This has been moved up, and we're just gonna keep going at it every year and try to put as much money toward it as we can. We only get about $67,000 a year from the state for paving, which is, if you look at the price of asphalt, it's nothing, but we do what we can. We're trying this year to squeeze in another on top of Vista. We'll see how we can accomplish that.
Okay.
But we're working. It's just, it doesn't seem as fast because, you know, it's one.
And one other thing I can tell you, when I first came here as mayor, we now get less than we did then to fix streets in this town. And obviously, everything costs a heck of a lot more.
Okay. I'm just curious if there is, and, you know, we see some of them here and there, and, you know, having traveled a lot of roads in a lot of states, NCDOT does a very good job overall of taking care of roads, better than most states do. I mean, everybody jokes about South Carolina roads, and a lot of it's true, but NCDOT does a great job statewide.
Yeah, and our crews have done a really good job trying to keep up with the patching of the roads, but the issue is that patching only gets you so far. So Jody does have a plan, he works on it all the time, and we're hoping to get started with the next road in the next month or two.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Steve King, just wanted to bring up the saluted grade rails to trails and wanted to know where the Tryon Council stood on this, since it's gotten in the news everywhere. What do you guys got to say about it? You gonna support it?
I can tell you that whatever the group is, I can't even think of the
Southern
name.
Carolina.
It's been to all the towns and the counties and stuff between here and there. I don't know that anybody has had a negative reaction to it yet. So we shall see. When they start asking for millions of dollars of money, and then you have landowners that go back to 1878, whatever happens, I suspect there will be a court case.
Probably gonna take 20 years to get it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll all be
But-
dead.
But, you know, it's a federal issue and nobody's ever won a case. I just wanted to find out whether this board was gonna.
I just got a package from the attorney in St. Louis. And what this is, and this has nothing to do with the rails, the trails, but it's all about eminent domain. So the first thing that happens is the railroad has to say, yes, we'll sell it. And then Conserving Carolina and Spartanburg County have to say, yes, we'll pay that. At that point in time, they'll move forward with a lawsuit against the Federal Treasury, Transportation, and people like me, I may get $1,000, I may get nothing. It depends on if the land was purchased, if it was leased, or, you know, but we'll find out. It's gonna be a couple of years before things really unfold.
Well, that's what they said about the Acosta Trail, and the Acosta Trail's already being built. That's only been about 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're figuring if this thing goes the way it's planned, they'll be opening in 5 years.
Yeah. So I just wanted to find out how you all stood on it.
Well, I personally am for it, and it'll impact me more than anybody else.
You're probably the closest to doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Joyce Kempton, and I beg to differ with Mr. Kroll. It will impact me more than it will impact you. My backyard is at a crossroads, my backyard is flat. They intend to take 50 feet off my property. They didn't buy it, it was given to them for a railroad, with the understanding that when they were through with the railroad, it would revert back to the property owner. And I would like to know from council, before you vote on this again, will you have a public hearing?
We will always have a public hearing,
We're having it right now.
always.
But
If we are going to discuss that, it will be in the paper on our website in plenty of time to get there. But I'm telling you, my personal opinion is what's gonna happen. We're looking at 2 or 3 years, and we're looking at 1 to 3 suits before it even gets to us, and I could be wrong.
Well, I know that I have fought with the railroad, and Mr. Ross knows, I fought with the town too, to get that railroad track cleaned up. I have right now a tree that's over 100 feet tall that's dying, that's gonna fall on my house. It is on the right of way for the railroad. Who do I sue if that tree destroys my house? And who do I sue if it becomes a tree and they don't take care of it? I can't afford to have another tree taken down. The last one cost me $5,000 to get it down and off my property. I can't do that again. I'm on fixed income, and there's no way. There are a lot of people in this town who live on the railroad who do not approve of what's trying to be done. A lot of people won't speak up because they have businesses. They don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I lived for 45 years working in this town, never being allowed to speak my piece. I don't do anything in this town except I live here for a little while longer.
I've always
I'm
wanted to
not
speak
happy
your
with it. Well, that's just since my husband was murdered. Thank you.
Well, excuse me, I have someone sitting on my right, so else will wait for a minute. I gotta call my sister, make sure she knows I'm late.
He's asking me to call the Yes, sir.
Last week, the park committee met and we had a discussion about adding members, and one of the discussions came up, when it was started in 2004, I mentioned this is, I think, y'all's last work session. The way it was set up, there's actually certain positions that are designated, like someone with depot guard, somebody over here at the park on trade, like in general, it's a garden club member because they care for it. But another one of those positions is, we're supposed to have a town council member. And we haven't had an active one since Dennis term, and I guess it's been 10 years or more since Dennis was on town council. So we discussed it, and I'm not expecting anybody to say anything tonight, but we would like to have a council member join us. And we may have to change our meeting time, And if we do, we don't mind doing it as long as the council member shows up. We don't want to change our meeting time just to change it and then.
When is your meeting?
It's Tuesdays at 4, and we don't meet every month, we meet about 6 times a year.
Who was on that board, John?
Pardon me?
Who was on the board?
Oh, now?
No.
Yeah, Dennis Durham.
Dennis Durham was the last active member. We've had a couple of others that have been members, but they didn't come. So Dennis, and that's been 10 years. So we had this discussion, and I told the committee that I would come to you all and say we would like to have a council member on. I have one more thing, and I'll hush, so this will make it a long meeting. Last October, I sent everybody an email about the rotary clock, the need for repairs. The floodlights look like around the base need to be repaired. I think Zach got, the light was out on the face, so that's been fixed. But, I'm sure it's gonna take an electrician to do it. But the other night I was over there doing some work. I think only 1 of 8 of the floods works right now. So, I don't know, I hate it when there's things that just aren't working. I'll just be honest with you, regardless of what it is. And so, it's been 10 months. I'd like the town to consider fixing.
You had that, done with.
Baker Electric to look at it.
Yeah, we had found the people that worked on the clock, but yeah, we'll see if I can look at it.
No, and let me say something here, folks, and y'all throw rocks if you want to. We're having as hard a time as the general public is to get people to do anything. I need a closet built in my house, and Subway tile put around the shop. Took me a year to find somebody, a year. And I'm not gonna make excuses for us, we miss things, but there are times when we line up and we ask and ask and ask and ask, and there's nobody to do it. And there's some of these things we don't have expertise in. Yeah, I'm with you, John, I love that clock in the middle of town, I love the way it looks, I love everything about it. But it seems to me like the last time we had worked on it, took us a long time to find anybody. And I don't know what happened in COVID to people who wanted to work. But I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for somebody to work at your house, they want 3 times what you think it's worth, and then they don't show up. I'm sorry, I couldn't rant, okay, Andy, of course.
And I just really want to thank Jody. He has really been helping me with the sinkhole on Whitney. He told me as I came in tonight that their plan is to be there next week to dig, to see what the issue is and try and get it fixed. There's another one that has opened up directly across the street and up. There are others starting on Whitney. There are 4 or 5 on Broadway that have started. Jody and I talked about all of them. He really stepped up last week and took care of some stuff in the neighborhood by himself that needed to be done, and I truly appreciate him for that. Thank you.
Shall we turn a motion to adjourn? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, likewise, motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I will see you.
Okay.